With a guarantee cabin, you might get lucky, or you might end up regretting it with an obstructed view, a noisy location under the pool deck, or just one of the less desirable rooms on the ship. I booked the cheapest balcony option on Explorer of the Seas, knowing that could go a few very different ways. And that's the trade-off. You save some money, but you give up control over your exact cabin assignment. So in this video, I want to show you how guarantee cabins actually work on Royal Caribbean, what the risks are, where the gamble landed me on my Explorer of the Seas trip, and whether I'd book this way again. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brad. My goal is to help you get the most out of your vacation with honest trip reviews, guides, and real-world tips. If you'd like more videos like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Let's dive right in. For this sailing, I booked a guarantee balcony cabin because it was a cheaper way to get into this room category. But the catch with a guarantee booking is that you are not choosing your exact cabin. Royal Caribbean assigns it for you sometime before you set sail. Royal Caribbean wants to fill every room on the ship, and some locations are naturally less attractive than others, so they're not always the first choice for someone who knows exactly where they want to be. So instead of picking your deck, your location, or your exact room, you're basically letting the cruise line decide where you end up. And Royal Caribbean gives you a little discount for that. Sometimes that works out great, and sometimes it doesn't. By choosing a guarantee balcony cabin, I was guaranteed at least a cabin with a balcony. But beyond that, I could have ended up pretty much anywhere in that category, and not every balcony cabin is equal. You could get a room under a busy public deck with more noise overhead. You could end up in a less convenient location, and in some cases, you might get a room that just wouldn't have been your first choice. Or if all of the standard balcony cabins get booked up, you might find yourself pushed up a category and into a nicer cabin. One last thing to keep in mind, if you're booking with multiple people, your guaranteed staterooms will very likely end up all over the ship, so you're not going to be staying near each other. So that's really the gamble here. Save a little money, give up some control, and hope the assignment works out in your favor. And in my case, it actually worked out really well. Instead of ending up in a standard balcony cabin, Royal Caribbean assigned me to one of their Spacious Ocean View Balcony rooms, and I stayed right here in cabin 8528. This is a spacious Ocean View Balcony cabin on the port side, pretty far forward on deck 8. And while forward cabins can sometimes sound a little less convenient, this location actually worked out really great. It was still low enough that getting down to deck 5, which is where the Royal Promenade and a lot of the ship's main indoor activities happen, that was easy enough. And one of the biggest wins here was that we had cabins both above and below us, which helped make this a really quiet place to stay. That, of course, is one of the biggest risks when booking a guarantee. We could have ended up somewhere a lot noisier, but in this case, the location was a big part of why this room felt like it was such a great outcome. Walking in, the first thing that stood out was that this room really did feel bigger than a standard balcony cabin. This room comes in at about 200 square feet, which is roughly 40 square feet larger than a standard balcony cabin. That may not sound huge on paper, but once you're actually in the room, it makes a noticeable difference. More than anything, this cabin just flowed well. It was easy to move around, easy to keep organized, and it never really felt cramped. For two people, that extra breathing room made the cabin more comfortable to use day by day, and that ended up being one of the biggest advantages here. That's the kind of thing that can be hard to appreciate just reading deck plans, but when you're actually staying in the room, it does matter. Inside, you've got a king-size bed that could be split into two twins if needed, a desk and get-ready area with lots of storage, a full-size couch, a cooler-style refrigerator, and a large closet with some extra shelves. There's also quite a few drawers and storage spots throughout the room, so overall it's a really nice setup. And I'm always a fan of having drawers available in a cruise cabin, just a personal preference. It's not a flashy cabin, but it's practical, it's comfortable, and it uses the space well. Explorer is an older ship, so there are no outlets by the bed and only a few available at the desk. You're not getting the kind of charging setup you'll see on those newer ships. So if you're traveling with phones, watches, cameras, and everything else, it helps to come prepared. I always bring a cruise-approved USB charging block and an international adapter with me for cabins like this, because it makes charging multiple devices a lot easier without running into issues with cruise line rules. I'll link the ones I use down below in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of cabin where they come in handy. Now for a ship from the turn of the century, I actually don't think this cabin feels too dated, but it is definitely showing its age. You can see some wear and tear, the finishes look a bit older, and this is not going to feel like a modern Royal Caribbean ship in any way. But at the same time, I didn't find it unpleasant at all. It felt older, yes, but still comfortable and very usable. The bathroom, on the other hand, definitely gives old school cruising vibes. This is probably the part of the cabin where Explorer's age stands out the most. Visually, it feels dated, and the decor definitely reminds you that this is an older ship. But functionally, it worked just fine, and I will say the shower had really nice water pressure, so no complaints from me there. And then of course there's the balcony, which was obviously a big part of why we booked this category in the first place. The balcony itself was nice, it was a great big space, and with these older Voyager class ships, you also have these solid metal walls on either side that give a little extra privacy and lots of room to spread out. We even had enough room to comfortably have breakfast out here as we pulled into Nassau. So even with the guarantee cabin gamble, we still got the balcony experience we wanted. And while I'm not trying to turn this into a full comparison, if you stayed in a more standard balcony cabin before, this is the kind of room where the extra space is noticeable. It's not a completely different experience, of course, but it does make the cabin easier to live in, especially if you spend any real time in it. Now, the other reason this room worked so well was the location. Being forward on deck 8 did mean a little more walking, but it also kept us in a quieter part of the ship. And it was still easy enough to get down to deck 5 for the Royal Promenade and all of the activities that occurred there. Because we had cabins above and below us instead of the pool deck or a loud bar, we didn't run into the kind of noise issues that can make a guaranteed booking feel like a mistake. So while this absolutely could have gone very differently, the location ended up being one more reason the assignment felt like such a good outcome. So as a cabin on its own, I think this was a really solid room. It's not modern, it definitely is showing its age, and the bathroom decor especially feels dated, but it was roomy, quiet, comfortable, and easy to live in for this short trip. And for an older ship like Explorer, you just have to know you're getting an older cabin. Fortunately, it was still functional and enjoyable. And as for the guarantee booking itself, I do think this is one of the cases where the gamble paid off. We booked the cheaper balcony option, knowing there was a chance we could end up in a less desirable room, a noisier area, or somewhere that just didn't work as well. Instead, we got upgraded into a larger cabin in a quiet location, and that made it feel like a really good value overall. That said, I still wouldn't recommend a guaranteed cabin to everyone. If you're very particular about your location, if you're worried about noise, or trying to book rooms together as part of a group, it may be worth paying just a little bit more to get the option to choose your own room. But if your main goal is to save a little money and you're okay rolling the dice a bit, this is a really good example of how a guaranteed booking can work in your favor. If you've ever booked a guaranteed cabin on Royal Caribbean, let me know in the comments if it worked out for you or if you ended up regretting it. Now, if you want to see what staying in one of the smallest cabins on a cruise ship was like, check out this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on board again soon.